Good morning and welcome to this Blender 2.8 tutorial. Today we'll be talking about how to use the camera in Blender 2.8. Here we have our camera. If we click on it, we can select it. And if it's selected, over here, you can find this little camera icon. If you're not selected on the camera, you will not find the camera icon. So you have to be selected on it. Then you can find it over here, and there's a bunch of stuff that we can change. That works somewhat like a camera in real life. For example, here we have the focal length, so how zoomed in it is. As you can see, it's changing it. Also, if we want to see what it looks like from the perspective of our camera, you can press 0 on your the 0 on the right side of your keyboard on your number pad to enter the camera. If you don't have a 0, because if you press the 0 on top, it won't do anything. If you don't have a number pad, just go to View, Cameras, Active Camera. That's the same thing. Okay, if you press 0 again, then you'll leave, or enter, leave, enter. Also, if you just orbit normally with your middle mouse button, then it will automatically leave. And then you just press 0 to go back into it. If you want to move the camera, like if you want to move around but have the camera locked to your view, you go over here, click on that, View, Lock Camera to View. And now, if we orbit, now our camera is stuck to however we're looking. So that's really useful for getting in the right spot. Here, if we change like the focal length, you can see it makes a big difference. Then we can scroll in or out or pan or orbit. You can also do those things over here. Oops. Oh, you can also click that button to enter your camera as well. I forgot. Yeah, so there's that. Let's talk a little bit about depth of field. So, if you're used to using a normal camera, depth of field is determining how much stuff is in focus. So usually professional cameras will have at least the option of having less stuff in focus. So just a tiny portion of what you're looking at is going to be in focus. So let's check this out. First, let's switch to rendered view. Here we go. Now we can see our cube. Get a little closer. Alrighty. Here you can choose what object you want it to focus on. So let's select our cube. And then you can't really see, everything pretty much looks the same. And that's because we need to change our f-stop. The lower you put it, the more blurry it's going to be. Now you might be wondering, well, why is it blurry right here? Because I told my cube to be the thing in focus, and that's because I'm going to unlock the camera from the view. Now orbit. That's because if we click on our cube, this little dot in the middle, not talking about that, but this little dot signifies the center of our cube. And that's what it's using to determine where to put the focus. So, if we're looking here, it's in focus right here and about right there because that is the plane that it lines up on, according to this dot right there. So, let's say, for example, we want it to be in focus right where our cube, like the point closest to us on our cube. So I'll show you how to do that. First step, after you get rid of all that, is to go Shift A, empty plane axis, and axes. If we move, so we can move this thing. This thing, if you render, you won't see it. By the way, if you want to get rid of everything and just kind of see what it looks like when it's going to be done, you just click on this button. Now it hides everything. And then you have to remember that you won't, like if I select this, you can't even see that it's selected, so I have to turn that back on again. But that's helpful. And so you can see that it won't render that. It's just, oh whoops, not that one. It's just there for the reason I'm going to show you. If we go back, select our camera, go back over here, and then instead of selecting our cube as the object that's in focus, we select this thing. Now if we click this, you can see this one has a dot as well, and now this dot is determining what's in focus. So now we can move it, and we can try to get it right on this point right there, but if we orbit, it's still not on that point. So if you do Control Shift Tab, press those at the same time, and then vertex. Now I'm going to press G and then hold down my control button. Now you can snap it to wherever you want, whichever of these vertices you want. Now I'm going to go back here, and if I hide this, you can see, it's perfect. Now it's in focus exactly right at this point, and it becomes more blurry as it goes back. Also, if you're in this sort of view and you want to select your camera, you just click right here. Now your camera's selected, and now you can change its properties. So you can change your focal length. You can make more of it in focus if I do this. And now, let's see. Now it's just starting to get just a tiny bit blurry as it goes towards the edges. There's a bunch of other stuff you can change. Mostly though, I just use the focal length and the depth of field. Another thing, if you might have a problem where if I move this cube far enough away, let's see if it will start to have problems. Looks like it's doing fine. But if your objects start to disappear, the ones that are really far away, like let's say you want to have like a, I don't know, you're making like an ocean scene and you want to have a moon that's like a sphere that's super far away or something, it might start to disappear. All you have to do is go over here and change the end of the clipping to be higher, and then that will fix it. Yeah, it's just pretty much saying like after this point it's all going to be fog, and so it's kind of controlling where the end of the fog is. Alrighty, let's try adding in a bunch of cubes here. I'm just pressing Shift D to duplicate these cubes. Awesome, we have a bunch of cubes. Now, something really cool. If you haven't watched the video on animation that I've done, you can watch that. Put a link up here. But something really cool you can do is animate this. It's called an empty. When you render, you won't see it. It's called an empty because it's just edges. You can animate this moving, and that will animate the what's in focus, like changing. So I'll show you. So if we do eye location and then move this, and then I'll move it and snap it like back here, for example. I'm just holding down Control to make it snap, or maybe I'll even do it that one way back there. And then I'll do eye location. Now you can see it's going to move between those 2 points, and if we render out an animation, then our focal point is going to go way back into the background. And just so you can see it better, I'll turn down the f-stop here so that it's really apparent what's happening. Yeah, so it's kind of cool that you can animate the depth of field changing and what's in focus. So that's something really fun to do when you're doing animations that can add sort of a cinematic effect to whatever you're doing. Alright, before we render it, I'm going to go over here, change the resolution to 50%, and I'm going to change this render sampling value to 16%, or just 16, and that's also a form of resolution, so I'm just going to make it the same as this one. And yeah, let's try rendering it with F12. Should just take a minute or two. Here we are. That was fast. Yeah, and now if you want to save it, go to Image, Save As. You can save it on your desktop if you want. It'll be right here. And then you can name it whatever you want. And save as image. Now if we go here, there you go. It's saved. Awesome. Alright, now I'll close this. And if you want to render out your animation, I'll show you really quick how to do that. If we change this right here, let's change it to the desktop. This is where it's going to save our animation when it's done. And we don't want a bunch of image files on our desktop. So we're going to change that to FMPEG video, MP4. Now, here our only animation only goes to frame 40. So I'll change this to 40 for the end, or maybe 45, just so that it has a little bit of time to sit there and do nothing. And yeah, I might even make this a little bit lower resolution, just so that it will render a little faster for us. And now if you press Control F12, it will render the animation onto your desktop. So let's see how it goes. It's on frame 8, 10, you can see it moving down here. This is what frame it's on. It's going pretty fast. It's about halfway done. It'll also tell you up here what frame it's rendering on. And you can see how the on each frame the depth of field is changing, what's in focus. So that's pretty cool. Alright, it just finished. Let's go check out the video it just saved. And yeah, there it is. And if you want to have it higher resolution, all you have to do is increase this number right here. You can put it at 100 if you want, or 50. And then this one you can put it back at 64. I just wanted to do it fast, just to show you guys. But you can see how it has a cool effect when the depth of field changes during your video. So that's a really fun thing to do for your animations. So yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that you need to know to get started with your camera. And yeah, have an excellent day. Bye.